This week we'll speak about the Dalit Kaisos. But the 4 Kaisos, how you drink them, who's supposed to drink them. Maybe next week we'll speak about the matzahs. So, the halacha, the Gemara says, the Mishnah says, you have to have 4 Kaisos of wine, Arba Kaisos, Pesach night. Now there's a big question, how do we look at the 4 Kaisos? And we'll explain it over the shir today. Is it that usually when you make Kiddush Friday night, what's the main thing when you make Kiddush Friday night? Is the main thing to drink the cup of wine? Or is the main thing to say the Kiddush? When you bench, the main thing is to bench. You're benching over a cup of wine. You make Kiddush over a cup of wine. But the main thing of the Kiddush is not the cup of wine. If you have bread, you make Kiddush of bread. You could be able to Kiddush in davening. The main thing of the Kiddush is not the cup of wine. It's not the kais. The question is, when it comes time to Leil Pesach, and say you have to have 4 cups of wine, what does that mean? Does it mean there was a din Kiddush, there was a din Haggadah, there was a din of Hallel, there was a din of benching? All those 4 things we said, you know what, do it on a kais, or no, it started the opposite way. Chachamim decided you have to have 4 cups of wine. When do you drink it? You'll drink it by Kiddush, you'll drink it by Haggadah, you'll drink it by Hallel. How do you look at the 4 cups of wine? This is a famous question that our Chayyim deal with, and we'll see there's lots of differences how we look at it. There's a Gemara here that says in Nafkuf Chesam and Beis in Pesachim, Tan Rabbanan, Hakol Chayavim Ba'arba Kaisos Halalu, everyone is mechuyev in the 4 kaisos. Echad Anashim, whether it's men, ve'echad Nashim, ladies, ve'echad Tinoikos, even kids are mechuyev in the Dalit kaisos. Ve'echad Tinoikos. Omer Rav Yehuda, this is the shita of the Tanna Kama. Omer Rav Yehuda said, V'chimata elas yesh l'tinoikos b'yayin. What gain do kids have from drinking wine? What gain do kids have when they drink a cup of wine? Ella mechalkom hem kloyes v'agoyzim. You give them nuts. You give them nuts. You give out to the kids nuts. But at Pesach, Kadesh la yishnu, they shouldn't fall asleep. V'yishlu, and they should ask the questions. Now, what does this question mean? Rabbi Yehuda says, "V'chimata elos yesh l'tinoikos b'yayin." What do the kids gain from drinking wine? What does that mean? Is it a mitzvah? Is it not a mitzvah? We're talking about chinuch over here. So Rashi says over here, "V'chimata elos yesh l'tinoikos haloi peturin min ha-mitzvahs." Kids are patur from mitzvahs, so why should they drink the 4 cups of wine? That's what Rashi says. There is an obvious question on Rashi. Kids are patur from the Tilas Lulav. Kids are patur from davening. Kids are patur from everything.
From Haggadah.
Kids are patur from Haggadah. Kids are patur from everything. What's the reason why they do it? Because of chinuch. So we're doing it because of chinuch. What type of question is it that Chimata Elzeh Shatalaika says Rashi halai peturim min ha-mitzvahs? They're patur from mitzvahs, so what? What happened to the mitzvahs chinuch for kids?
They're learning how to drink heavily.
Yeah, that's the chinuch. And the truth is, a lot of the Rishonim argue in Rashi, and they don't do one's question that way. Because they say, what do you mean? A kid is mechuyev in chinuch. Same way a kid is mechuyev in chinuch in every other mitzvah, he's mechuyev in chinuch in the Arba Kaisos. So,
could you say that, I mean, if you give them wine, the whole idea of the Pesach Seder is you can be mechanech your child in the story of Pesach.
right.
If you give them wine, they're going to fall asleep.
Okay.
So, matzaelis, and doing that.
You're saying
you're feeding your own purpose by giving them wine.
That's a very nice prat. Rashi doesn't say that. The Rashbam doesn't say that. The Rashbam says like peturim min ha-mitzvahs.
Kids don't drink wine anyways.
It's the patur from mitzvahs. According to you, giving a reason why they shouldn't drink it.
Yeah.
Rashbam's not saying
another. I'm giving another shot of the Gemara.
Oh, the Gemara, yeah, fine,
yeah.
Okay, fine. Well, see, the Rashbam say such a shot in the Gemara. But the Rashbam doesn't say that. The Rashbam says, well, like peturim min ha-mitzvahs, the patur from mitzvahs. What does the Rashbam mean, the patur from mitzvahs? So other Rishonim argue in the Rashbam and they say the mitzvahs chinuch, they say we have to mechanech them. For other mitzvahs, you have to mechanech them with the Arba Kaisos. So when the Tanna Kama says that even Tinoikos are mechuyev with Dalit Kaisos, Rav Yehuda asks, Chimati el Esher Tanoikis, it must be a different question. And what's the question? So the other Rishonim learn that the question of the Gemara is that the reason why we drink the 4 kaisis is for Simcha. It's Mesameach. Right? We're supposed to have Simcha, Leil Pesach, a sign of Geula. That's why you drink the 4 kaisis of wine, and that's why you're supposed to drink wine. The 4 kaisis of wine.
We don't hold that. That can't be the reason, because even if it makes you sick, you have to drink it. There's no Simcha if you're sick.
We'll get there. We'll see why. See if it makes you sick wine. That's the reason why we drink the 4 kaisis of wine, because it's a thing of Simcha, and that's why you drink it. And the Rishonim say, "V'chimate elos l'tanoikos b'yayin," says the Ran, "Kloimar, the v'chihayin lo shayich mechancham." It's not shayich to be mechanech the tanoikos with wine. The kivin she'ein nehenen v'samechem boy, ein lo lehem derech cheres. Since for them there's no enjoyment of wine, for them it's not called derech cheres. For kids it's not called derech cheres. Derech cheres means freedom. For kids, drinking wine is not good for them, and therefore it's not called derech cheres. So v'chimate elos yesh lehem, you're right, all mitzvahs kids have to do. You have to mechanech them. In drinking wine, there's no te'el, that's because it's not derech cheres. You see from the Ran holds that if it's not derech cheres, if for a kid it's not good, he doesn't appreciate wine, he doesn't have to drink wine. He shouldn't drink wine. So all of you are thinking, same thing with adults. If adults can't handle wine, so then he doesn't have to drink wine. It's not derech cheres. Right? That's what you're thinking. But the problem is that it's not true. The problem is that it says in halacha that everybody has to drink wine. Someone who never drinks wine all year round, he doesn't drink wine, he doesn't like wine. It damages him, or he can't stand wine. He has to still push himself as much as he could in order to drink the 4 kaisis of wine. Someone doesn't like wine, he doesn't touch wine all year round. It comes time to Pesach, you have to try to drink the 4 kaisis.
Where is that relative to the statement that women and children should drink wine? Is it from the same?
No. This is halacha. No, this is the Mechaber says.
Okay, this is Mechaber.
Yeah, this is Mechaber. We're trying to figure out if kids don't have to drink wine because it's not good for them, so why adults have to drink wine even though it's not good for them? So the Mishnah says over here. He doesn't enjoy drinking it. He gets headaches from it. We're not talking about a person who ends up getting sick because of it. We're talking about a person who is just uncomfortable for him. He doesn't like wine. But of course somebody who's going to get sick from it, he doesn't have to drink wine. Says the Sharatzian, Kein really Pashut. Why? The Ein Zeh Derech Cheres. That's not called derech cheres. So what do we see over here? A kid should not drink wine because it's not meant for a kid. It's not called derech cheres. It doesn't mean that it's not called derech cheres because you're a little uncomfortable to drink the wine. Because the Mechaber says beforish, you don't drink wine all year round. You don't like wine. You get a headache from it. You drink a little bit of wine, you start spinning a little bit.
But you would still say that free people drink wine.
Right. There's still,
even people like that.
Right.
Yeah.
There's still halacha. That's called derech cheres. Meaning, like Manuel said, even someone who enjoys wine, right? He drinks wine. He can handle wine. What happens? Also, you drink a little bit of wine and you start spinning. Some people enjoy that, and some people don't enjoy that, right? A person who doesn't enjoy that, it doesn't mean it's not called derech cheres. It's only not called derech cheres, like the Mishnah Berurah says, nafal mishkav. Person who gets sick from it, who gets sick from the wine, that's a problem. Children are not supposed to drink wine. Therefore, it says they don't drink wine. Says the Ran. Children don't drink wine. That's called not derech cheres.
What's children? What age is children?
We'll get to that. Very good question. We'll get to that in a second. What age is children? The Pashtus, the Ran is talking about anybody under bar mitzvah. Anybody under bar mitzvah, the Ran of Pashtus says should not drink wine. We'll see maybe the halacha it's not that way.
And the Gemara says that they should.
So the Tanna Kama says that Tinoikis should drink wine, and Rabbi Yehuda says v'chimate elas. Who do we pass the like? The Tanna Kama says even kids should drink wine. Rabbi Yehuda argues. Rabbi Yehuda says v'chimate elas. Why should kids be drinking wine? So one thing I want to make clear. Even according to Rabbi Yehuda that says that mate elas yesh l'tinoikis b'yayin. What are they game by drinking wine? We have to understand that's only halacha for kids. Kid is not called derech eretz. An adult, it's not called derech eretz only when it's nafal mishkav, or when he gets sick from it. But a little bit uncomfortable from wine.
It makes you dizzy and you can't concentrate.
If it makes you dizzy, it's called koyev.
But why is
you have to drink.
He's asking a question, what do kids gain from it?
Right.
So wouldn't you, why does that same question then apply to somebody who's uncomfortable with drinking wine? What do they gain from it?
Because it's not called derech eretz means what they gain from it. Like the Ran is saying is it's not called derech eretz, not the way of freedom. When they get sick from it, or when kids drink it. But someone gets a little bit of a headache. It's not called not derech eretz.
But he's still derech eretz. It's not derech eretz for kids because he's asking a question. What do they gain from it?
Meaning for kids, it's mazik them. They should not drink wine. Matelis means, like the Ran says.
He doesn't frame it that way. He asks a question. What do they gain from it? And he answers the question, obviously, not very much. That's why they shouldn't drink wine.
They shouldn't drink wine. Right, he argues. It's not a question, he argues. They should not drink wine. But what does it mean they should not drink?
His argument is it's a lost benefit calculation he's making.
Right.
We're told they should drink wine. Right? What do they gain from it? Obviously, not enough compared to the damage it does, so they shouldn't drink wine.
No, more than that. It's not derech eretz for them, says the Ran. For them, it's not called freedom. For kids drinking wine, it's not derech eretz. Kids don't enjoy wine. Period. Adults.
You just made the point.
Enjoy.
Some adults enjoy.
Right, but since adults usually enjoy wine, that's called derech eretz for an adult.
Even if an adult doesn't.
Even if there's one adult that doesn't enjoy it. It's still called derech eretz for an adult.
By definition, it's derech eretz.
By definition, drinking wine for an adult is derech eretz. For a child, it's not called derech eretz. By definition. Therefore, kids don't have to drink wine according to Rabbi Yehuda. According to the Tanna Kama, kids also have to drink wine. See how we pass it in a second. But definitely, adults should try to drink wine. I know a lot of people drink grape juice, and you definitely yaitza the arbor-kaisis with grape juice. There's no question about it. Everyone agrees that if someone cannot drink wine, whatever level it is, and therefore he's saying, I'm not drinking wine, I'm drinking grape juice, they definitely yaitza the arbor-kaisis with grape juice. But a person should know that the chatchila definitely, even though it's a little uncomfortable for him to drink wine, today they have all these weak wines, not a problem.
Is there any better drinking strong wine than weak wine?
No.
Is there any difference whatsoever to any day?
No. Both
Does this apply to both nights or just the...
Both nights. Applies to both nights.
Mevushal, non-mevushal.
Oh, so mevushal, it says you should drink yain she'ein mevushal. So you're supposed to drink wine, yain she'ein mevushal, yain it's not cooked. Why? Because it's more chashuv. Yain she'ein mevushal is considered more chashuv. You see that a guy who touches the wine, only if it's yain mevushal. A yain she'ein mevushal it's a problem. Why? Because yain mevushal is not called chashuv wine. It's not called chashuv wine.
However,
What?
you can say however.
No.
However.
What's that, however?
If you really if you digest a mevushal wine better.
I don't know if that's true.
That's what I learned.
Yeah? Okay. There's a question if you're supposed to use yain edda. You're supposed to use red wine. Let's say you have a choice red wine. And mevushal, then they speak about it. But because you like a yain she'ein mevushal.
It's easier.
Huh?
It's easier. It's not as thick, it's like Russian pink is like great. But it's mevushal.
Yes, you have to know. If someone can't handle wine. No, if someone can't handle a wine, you're right. They take mevushal, of course. If someone can handle one's a little easier in the stomach.
You can handle it.
Definitely should take yain she'ein mevushal. Yeah, the chatchila someone should take yain she'ein mevushal and red wine. Red wine she'ein mevushal. If a person can't handle the wine, then he's definitely better off with the yain mevushal than grape juice. No question about it. And today they have all these weak wines, it's much easier.
If you can't handle the wine properly, is it better to have diluted grape juice wine through all 4 cups, or to have the first cup total wine and then go grape juice after?
No, all the cups are the same. Yeah, those are the
Do they
first
make
one.
the yain kal
That's
in
time
a
of bushel?
That's
I don't know.
Ein bushel?
Yeah.
I don't
in a
think so.
bushel. They make a kal.
Khalil does.
I've never seen one.
Khalil makes ein bushel?
Ein bushel, and it's a yain kal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have to answer
Oh,
it.
you mean like a light?
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
But you have to know your company very well.
Make sure it's
You have to know.
make sure it's
Who's at your
cold.
table?
Who's at
Yeah,
your table?
yeah, you have to make company, yeah.
The other one's too sweet.
If someone has, which is also you should know, people who have guests over for the Seder, and the guests aren't sharing Shabbos, and the Challah Shabbos for Hesed, there could be a problem with the wine, you better off with Yain Mevushal. You better off with Yain Mevushal. You don't put the Yain Mevushal on the table then hide it from the guy. You know? Don't do that. You may just as to have Seder. Maybe you have to say if you have people on the table that are not sharing Shabbos, and then you
Problem is, yeah, people they usually bring the wine.
Yeah, they bring
They don't know what they're bringing.
and then you
If you don't serve
actually
it, they insult it, right?
Make sure it's kosher.
Let's have that wine that I brought.
Have it in the fridge. Sorry.
so that's for an adult. An adult should try to drink wine as much as he could. If you can't, you can be it with grape juice. Now getting back to the machlokes, the Tanna Kama says Tinoikos also should drink wine. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, they shouldn't drink wine. What should they do? Give them kloyes ve'agoizim. Keep them up through, they didn't have grape juice in those days, so keep them up through nuts and kloyes was like wheat.
You didn't waste grapes by making it into grape juice.
Yeah. So here, I'm going to show you a mechaber, the lechayra to Stephen. The mechaber paskins, Tinoike she'egiya l'chinuch, kids that were higia l'chinuch, mitzvah litain l'chol echad kaisei lefonav. Tinoikos, it's a mitzvah to give each one their own kais. Why? Because it passed like a Tanna Kama. Right? Echad noshim, echad anoshim, echad noshim, echad tinoikos. You have to have a kais in front of you. The problem is the Mechaber says, the next halacha, mitzvah l'chalak l'tinoikos kloyes v'agoizim. The whole reason why we said to be mechalak to tinoikos kloyes v'agoizim was because the Yehuda argued and says you don't give kids wine. What do you give them? Give them kloyes v'agoizim. And here we just saw that the Mechaber brings down both halachas. Tinoikos should get wine, and you should give tinoikos kloyes v'agoizim. What's going on over here? So, there's another question in the Abrikaisis, a famous question we start off with. What's the din in the Abrikaisis? Is the din in the Abrikaisis to say the Kiddush on a kais, or to drink the kais, and you have to do it by Kiddush? And there'll be a big nafkamina. Kaisis, the beginning of Arab Pesach has a shiloh. If the din is that you should have 4 times you say something, you say it on a kais, which really is the Lashon of the Ran. I'll read the Lashon of the Ran. The Ran says in the beginning of Arab Pesachim, Tiknu Chachavim, if you read the words, it's very clear. La'arba brachos, to the 4 brachos, arba kaises. Kedei shetehei kol echad ala kais. So what came first, according to the Ran? Tiknu Chachavim, la'arba brachos, to the 4 brachos that are made throughout the night, which is Kiddush, Goal Yisrael, Hallel, and B'chsamaz and Hallel. Tiknu Chachamim, shetehei kol echad ala kais. Each one should be on a kais. That means the main thing is what? The main thing is the brachas. You should do it on a kais. Ask Tosfos if the main thing is the brachas. Most of the Gemara is saying everyone has to have the al kaises, even tonikas. So the main thing is the saying the brachas. So let the kid be yaitze with you with the brachas, and he doesn't have to drink the wine. That's the chinuch. The chinuch is he has to hear the kiddush, he has to hear the agada. What do you have to have the kais for? Kais says from here is a raya.
That can apply even to and at the Seder table. You make the bracha, the answer on main, and then you're right.
Right, we get that, yeah. Same thing with there. Kais brings the raya from over here that no. The din of the Arba kaises says you have to drink the 4 kaises. When do you drink it? By kiddush. But there's a din in to drink 4 kaises. If that's the case, to the kais, that they want to be mechanech them, they would have to drink the 4 kaises. They hear kiddush with somebody else, doesn't mean anything.
Isn't it machlokes for the kiddush? Some people wouldn't say the kiddush.
Oh yeah, I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that right now. So
it's different than Kiddush.
Right, so this is different than Kiddush.
Yeah.
Kiddush is what? Kiddush is that one person makes Kiddush, he's mitzvah everybody, and there's no din that everybody has to drink a kois Shabbos when you make Kiddush. But then you have to make Kiddush. You make the Kiddush on a kois. So one person is mitzvah everybody on his kois of Kiddush.
Right.
By Pesach, it's not that way. Pesach is the din, everyone should drink their 4 koises. Everybody should drink their own 4 koises. Not that someone drinks for me. If that's the case, so the Amira on the kois, they saying on the kois, the Haggadah and everything else has to be on your kois. You shouldn't be yetz with somebody else. That's why a lot of people are makbid that even though during the year one person makes Kiddush and everybody else listens, Pesach night, everybody's going to make Kiddush together.
Well, some people hold that you don't, right?
Some people say you don't. Yeah. Some people say you still should make either even a Pesach night, because as long as you're drinking the kois. But a lot of people who quoted this a makbid, the Leil Pesach, everybody makes Kiddush together.
So all year around, not everybody has to have some wine. We go to Kiddush.
No, you don't have to have wine. It's better to have wine, but you don't have to have wine. Someone makes Kiddush as much as everybody, as long as Revius, Rav Kais is drank, doesn't make a difference. No one else has to drink.
Like we do that on Shabbos morning all the time.
Yeah. Right, Kiddush happens all the time. But Leil Pesach is not that way. Leil Pesach, everybody has to drink their own kais. Ladies have this minhag for some reason, they drink a little bit to leave over the rest. It's not that way. Ladies have the same chiv to drink the Arba kais as men. They have to drink, for sure, Rav Kais, the Chatchila, the whole kais.
Can they, when it comes to the Kiddush part, can the man say the Kiddush, and then when it comes to Baruch and the women would just say that bracha?
Yeah, the men. The Kiddush. No, on Shabbos, the Yom HaShishi, you don't have to say.
I'm talking on Pesach.
No, the guy said the whole thing.
The whole spiel.
Yeah, the whole thing. Not just the Baruch Gofen. Say the whole Kiddush, you should say it together with them. Because the whole Kiddush is ala kois.
Women say also?
Women should say,
we were brought up not, right?
A lot of people have the meaning that Leil Pesach, everyone says Kiddush together. Because everyone has...
Together.
Yeah, whatever. You want to
say separate.
You can say separate, it doesn't make a difference.
No, but it does make a difference. You're saying the women should say, because this way the women don't say.
No,
the men say and the women don't say.
No, the women should say.
Yeah,
the women should say, okay, if your meaning is not the way, it's fine.
40 people
No, if your meaning is not to say it, say it together. But also in the house, everyone says it together. Everyone says the Kiddush together. Okay, it could be the head of the Seder says it louder than everybody else, and the ladies may say a little quieter or whatever, but everyone says Kiddush together. Why? Because the Arba Kaisis...
We weren't brought up like this, by the way.
Arba Kaisis...
It's a new thing.
Yeah, no, a lot of people have the meaning that way. A lot of people have the meaning that just you have to Shemei Kaina.
Yeah.
But the lady has to understand that this is much different than a Kiddush. Even if it's Shemei Kaina, right, and they're being mighty her with the Kiddush, she's listening, it's on her kais, and she has to drink her kais. They have to drink their kais, and not just Rav kais. The Chatchil has to drink the whole kais down. But the Eved Yates with Rav kais. The Chatchil has to drink the whole kais. Another thing is ladies make a big mistake with the Haggadah.
They're perfect women. I thought the wives are perfect. No?
Too tired.
I'm not going to comment. The Haggadah, Hallel, Bichas HaMazayin, all these things, right? There is no Shemei Kaina. When the ladies are working in the kitchen, and you're saying the Haggadah, let's say, and they come and they drink the kais, they can't do that. They got to say the Haggadah also. And they're not being yetzi with your Haggadah. Hallel, right? Afterwards. By the Matayah, you got to say the Hallel. There is no Shemei Kaina.
I thought they just had those three Pesach Matzah.
Yeah, so the Chatchil, all they have to say is Pesach, Matzah, Morar, those things, and the bracha at the end. That's what they have with the Eved. The Chatchil should say the whole Haggadah. Even though they're busy in the kitchen, they should come in and say the Haggadah. This is different than a regular Kiddush. Part of the Amira, part of the Shneis Arba Kaisis is the Amira on the Arba Kaisis. That's all for women. How about for kids? Tais brings a raya that the main din of the kais is everyone should have their own kais. Kibis from Tanaikas. You see that Tanaikas should each one have their own kais. Now the Rosh brings down both halachas, and that's where the Mechaber probably is coming from. Side that Tanaikas should have their own kaises, and side the halacha of Mechalek Lahem Klai Tzva Goizim. Now, there's a carbon assignment on the Rosh that says a nupshat in the Gemara, and that will answer the questions on the Mechaber. He says there's two types of children. The children she'egil l'chinuch and children she'lo yegil l'chinuch. But the Gemara says that echad anashim ve'echad nashim ve'echad tinoikos are mechuyim and arba kaisis. What does the Gemara mean? Which tinoikos are we talking about? The tinoikos she'egil l'chinuch or tinoikos she'lo yegil l'chinuch? Says the Karban Nesanel, we're not talking about tinoikos she'lo yegil l'chinuch. She'egil l'chinuch, I mean. Everyone agrees that tinoikos she'egil l'chinuch have to drink the arba kaisis. It's not different than a regular chinuch. And that's how he explains the Rashbam. What does the Gemara mean? Rashi says, Rashbam says, the part of mitzvahs. What are we talking about? A tinuk shaloi higia l'chinuch. We're talking about kids shaloi higia l'chinuch. They didn't reach chinuch yet. So that Rabbi Yehuda says, Mate'elas. Kids, the p'turim and mitzvahs. Difference is to give them klois v'agoizim. What did Tanna Kama hold? No, even them. Everyone has to be included in the Seder night. He says a lot of Pesuri Nissa. Everyone has to be included, and therefore even kids that lo yigil l'chinuch should have the wine according to the Tanna Kama. Yeah, we'll get that in a second. Yeah.
Is that based on age or on their individual ability to understand what's going on?
It's based on an average age, but some kids early, some kids more 3, 4. Maybe 5.
So you can give them a less of a shiur. You can give them a small little.
Yeah. So things like this.
Together 4.5 ounces.
Right. So things like this. It depends how you learn the Gemara. If the Gemara, the Tanna Kama was talking about Tanaka she'egil l'chinuch, and Rabbi Yehuda argues that even Tanaka she'egil l'chinuch don't need to drink the arba kaisis. So we have a shita that holds that an 8-year-old kid, a 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid don't have to drink the arba kaisis. We definitely pass on that way. The Mechaber says Tanaka she'egil l'chinuch mitzvah litan lehem l'chol echad v'echad kais lefanav. That then is mitzvah litan lefanav is what? Even yayin. Even yayin. V'chimate el teshet tanoikos is the Yehuda shita. The Tanna Kama shita is that you give the kids. You give the kids. You may have to give the kids wine. We'll see in a second. You may have to give the kids wine. Masha'ekin, a tinuk shelo yigil l'chinuch, that's already the chiddush of the Karban Nesanel, that even kids shelo yigil l'chinuch, you have to do something with them. The Gemara says, you give them klois v'agoizim. We don't give kids today klois v'agoizim. Right? Maybe something like little candies. How do we get our kids involved? The kids shelo yigil l'chinuch even, they have a cup of grape juice. A cup of grape juice today could be instead of the klois v'agoizim. And there's a reason to do it. You should give a little kid, a 2-year-old kid, a 3-year-old kid, even though it's lo yigil l'chinuch, you should make sure you give him something to keep him by a table. If it means grape juice, give him grape juice. If it means klois v'agoizim, you do that. But today we all know what keeps a kid by a seder is a little becher with some grape juice that'll spill 3 times before he drinks it, drink it 4 times before you get the kiddush ready. Yeah. But that's the way it goes. That's what we give a kid to keep him by the table. So now we understand the 2 mechabers over here. The first mechaber is talking about tinuk she'egil l'chinuch. The second one is talking about tinuk shelo yigil l'chinuch.
Now what I do, not a bad idea, I think, is I go to the dollar store. You get a lot of these little tchotchkes for $1. And I give it to the kids. You get a question right, give them a little tchotchke. Doesn't pay. You get a whole bunch of stuff for $20. You get
Pharaoh's treasure chest.
Yeah.
It's made off all Egyptian. And they get to come to the chest and stick
in there. That's why you keep kids by the table, right?
That keeps them going.
Yeah. But according to this, it would come out that a tinuk she'egil l'chinuch, a kid who came of age, if you pass him that you have to give him arba kaisis, and the chimate el seshet tanoikos b'yayin is not going on a kid she'egil l'chinuch, it's going on a kid shelo yigil l'chinuch, will come out that a kid she'egil l'chinuch has the same din of arba kaisis as an adult. He should drink wine. Same way we have a chiyuv to drink wine, a kid she'egil l'chinuch should also drink wine. Says the Mechaber, Tinuk she'egil l'chinuch mitzvah litan l'chol echad kais lefanav. What does kais lefanav mean? Grape juice? Doesn't mean grape juice. The same way we have a chiyuv, the kids have a chiyuv. So maybe you should have a chiyuv to give the kids wine.
So the same shiur?
Same shiur. Same shiur. So you should the chiyuv chinuch should be the kids drink wine. It's not advisable. It's not advisable because the rest of the kids should not be drinking wine. But I'll tell you like this: even though there's a mitzvah chinuch on kids to be mechanech them and to arba kaisis, lav dafka you have to give them wine. I'll tell you why. And probably it's better not to give them wine. Because there's a famous question, they speak about it by lulav. You know, the first day of Sukkot, the lulav has to be lechem. You have to own your lulav and yaser. Right? You have to own your lulav and yaser. For somebody else's, you're not yaser the mitzvah. There's a mitzvah of chinuch. A kid has to take a lulav and esrog the first day Sukkot also. Does the kid have to own his own lulav and esrog the first day Sukkot or not? Is there a din lechem for a kid? Is it in chinuch? You have to mechanech a kid to do mitzvahs. So same way you have a mitzvah the first day of Sukkot, the lulav and esrog should be yours. The same thing, you should have a din for a kid. You have a mitzvah chinuch. You have to mechanech him with the mitzvah correctly. What would you say to that?
Well, they buy the kids a lulav, but it's not kosher usually.
So it's not kosher, it's worse.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they do.
A minor own property?
Yeah.
A minor can own property.
A minor can own. A minor could be kind of, but it can't be machined. It can't give it back.
They're kosher, really?
Sure, 100% kosher. And
I don't think it's
young.
kosher.
One is 10 and one is 7, and they get kosher lulav and esrog. Cheaper ones.
Cheaper ones, but it's kosher.
Yeah.
So what's better?
Sometimes the cheaper ones are better.
Yeah. So what's better? Should a kid have his own lulav and esrog? Or no, father should give him his own lulav and esrog, and they won't be mekayim the mitzvah like with lechem. This is machlokes in the Rishonim. The Mishnah Berurah brings it down, and he says that a kid, when you mechanech a kid, if it's not lechem, and the kid has no idea that it's not lechem, then there's nothing wrong with chinuch. The kid sees you taking a lulav kosher esrog, he's shaking it. It's not his. Okay. It's still chinuch. He doesn't know about that. It could be the same thing with grape juice. If you mechanech a kid to drink, you don't have to mechanech him to drink wine. The kid thinks he's doing davar kaisis. A lot of adults drink grape juice also. He's not worse than an adult who can't drink wine. Therefore, even though we paskin that a tinoikos, if you look at the mechaber, there's no difference. The mechaber right before wine says Misha Eni Shaisi Yayin still has to drink wine on Pesach night. And then he says next two halachas later, Tinoikos Gil Chimnach Mitzvah Litan L'Chol Echad Chais. It doesn't say no. A kid you give grape juice. A kid you don't have to give wine. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. Still, it's not kedai to give kids wine because we know what happens when you give kids wine. So you mechanech, yeah, you mechanech kids. You mechanech kids with grape juice, and even though it's a gil chinuch, you mechanech them with grape juice. But since we're saying now that tinish a gil chinuch is the same thing as an adult, so you have to be mechanech a kid. The same we said before by noshim. The noshim you have to not be mechanech them, but noshim they have to be there throughout the whole Haggadah, say kiddush and say hallel. A kid should be the same thing. The chinuch for a kid should be the same thing. You should say the whole hallel, should say the whole Haggadah on the Abrakosis. Who is not saying it, you're not being mekayim the mitzvah's chinuch correctly.